Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this big fella right here, Broadhorns, early trade on the Mississippi. This is being put out by Rio Grande Games, and it is designed by James Harmon. So it is basically an economic game where you are sailing these broadhorn barges down the Mississippi River, selling your goods, picking up passengers, delivering them to the cities that they want to visit, and you're getting money for all of this. Whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. Let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, basically, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts in just a few moments. So on your turn, you're going to be able to take two actions. You're going to be able to take a port action and a move action. And you can do those actions in any way, any order that you'd want to. Now, before you can take those two actions, though, you have to refresh the market up here, and then you have to spoil your cargo. Now, what's going to happen there is that, for example, let's say at the beginning of my turn, somebody else had purchased these two, and somebody else had purchased these three things here. All right, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things in the market right now. There has to be at least 7. So I'm going to add 3 barrels to the market. Now, they could be barrels that are already there, and if so, that comes down here into the one spot, like this cotton and this whiskey. But the furs here will go right up here into the 2 spot as these are filled in each different thing. So that's how you refresh the market. There has to be at least 10 goods in the market at the beginning of everybody's turn. During the spoil cargo phase, if I have any flour, apples, or pork on my broadhorn, then they have to spoil by 1 click over. So since I have apples and I have flour, they would be moved over like this. In the first turn of the game, you're obviously going to skip the resource market to refill that and the spoiling thing because we don't have any goods on our ship just yet. So the first turn of the game, the first thing you're going to do is you're probably going to make a port action and purchase goods. You're also going to be purchasing a broadhorn if you wish. So on my first turn here, I'm going to take a 20-foot broadhorn because I don't want to spend any money on my broadhorn on my first expedition. I want to spend money on goods. So I think my best bet here is going to be going to St. Genevieve to sell the pork and the wheat. So I'm going to use $4. So I'm going to click down 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to take a pork and a wheat and place them on my broadhorn like so. Now I may want to purchase more than that. I do have $2 left, so yeah, we'll pick up a fur as well, and place that right there, and that's going to take me down to $0. Now that I have done a port action, now I can do a move action. And the move action, since my broadhorn allows me to move 7, is simply going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, I'm going to come into port here. Now, since I've already done 1 port action here, I won't be able to do another port action here because that would require a 3rd action, and you can only take 2. Now, before we get to that 2nd action, I'm going to show you some of the things about these different ports that'll help you understand what's going on. So first of all, over here, these are goods that you can buy from this port, and we'll get to that in just a few moments. Here is where you're going to be selling goods that you have on your broadhorn, and this is the amount of money that you're going to get for that product if you sell it at that port at that specific amount of time. If you are going to fill up this and finish this ticket, so to speak, you're also going to get a bonus 2 gold to be added to whatever you sell here. The first thing you do is you sell goods, and then you can purchase things from the port, and then you can also pick up or drop off passengers if you have a passenger that can be picked up in Baton Rouge or dropped off in Baton Rouge, for this one specifically. So as I'm taking my port action for my 2nd turn here, I'm going to go ahead and sell the pork and the flour here for $4 and $3 each. So that's going to take me up to 7. And then that fills up this entire town. And so I'm going to get an extra bonus gold for having finished this town. And this will go into my tableau to be counted, those wreaths to be counted at the end of the game. But since I have finished the port, I'm going to take one of the perishable items that I sold at the port, and I'm going to place it in one of these in the first slot on the board. Now this is the timing mechanic for ending the game. Once all of these have been filled up and the first one is placed down here in autumn, they're all removed and put back into the bag, and then we finish out the autumn phase, and then whoever has the most gold at the end of the autumn phase is the winner. But now that I have finished this ticket, I can, by selling, I can purchase new here, and if I want to, I can look down, and I do have let's see, we're going to purchase an apple. Now the reason that they have +1s here is because we go by whatever the market value in St. Louis is plus whatever these numbers are. All right, and now at the end of my turn, I'm going to take my second action, which is to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I am just floating down the river here. Now at the end of my turn, I'm going to be able to draw an expedition card. Now these different expedition cards have a number of different things on them. First of all, this ice card here, first of all, it can be used to negate a spoil action. Or you can use it to get +1 if you're selling any of these goods in a port. This peddler card here allows you to purchase an item that is not available in the port you're at. So for example, let's say that I'm here in New Madrid and I want to purchase flour. Well, it's not being offered here in this port, but if I have a peddler card and I'm in New Madrid, I can play it, and then I can purchase flour for 1 + 1 gold each. And then after that, we also have good current cards, which basically can be used to move an extra number of spaces, whatever printed on the card here, as you're floating downstream. Then you also have passenger cards. This one specifically is going to start in New Madrid, and he's going to be wanting to be dropped off in New Orleans. And if you're able to complete that trip for him, he's going to give you $4 for doing that. You have other kinds, though, that this one, for example, starts in Kaskaskia and ends in Natchez, and he's going to give you $4 as well. These are bonus cards that can be used while you're selling, for example, whiskey in Cape Girardeau for an extra 2 gold. And you just have to have the card in your hand, or it has to be out here available to be used at one of the different spots as you go down there. And then finally, there are spoil cards in the deck that will affect everybody. So if one of these is flipped over during the course of the turn, everybody who has apples on their Broadhorn have to spoil it. Once a barrel has been placed inside a new season zone, then that season's effects begins to be levied against the players. For example, in the winter here, everybody's movement is reduced by 1, but there's no spoiling actions that have to take place. Here in the spring, everybody will get +1 movement, and then in the summer, everybody will get +1 spoil whenever they have to spoil one of their goods. If a stack of port tiles ever is completely removed from the board, you still do have one that is printed on the board that will carry on for the rest of the game if that does take place. But that's generally how the game plays, as far as everybody taking 2 actions, either a port action or a move action, or you can take 2 move actions on your turn if you want to. You can only take 1 port action per port per expedition, though, so you can't stay in port and perform multiple actions. Everybody will have the opportunity to have equal number of turns, and then after the last person is gone, we calculate points. So the player with the most gold is wins, and if in the case of an overall tie, whoever collected the most town tiles will be the winner. So that's about that for Broadhorns. It is a very simple economic game that does not take a whole lot of brain power to play. Now, in order to win, you do want to strategize and plan ahead and be paying attention to the goods that you're purchasing so that you know where your destination is going to be. Getting the different expedition cards and stuff like that, getting passengers are also a pretty big thing as well. They're worth a lot of points if you can get them picked up and delivered. So there's a lot of different ways, not really multiple paths to victory. You're just trying to sell goods and deliver travelers. So there's not a whole lot of, I guess, variability with how you're going to score points. But with that being said, it's a race down the river each and every expedition. So determining when you're going to stop an expedition and sell your your Broadhorn rather, that might be some of the decisions that you make. You might not go all the way down to New Orleans. You might just stop in Vicksburg or Chickasaw Bluffs or something like that and sell your Broadhorn there and then go back to St. Louis and start another expedition. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get to my pros and cons. First of all, the pros are the component quality in this game is actually really, really good. And I was surprised by that, not so much because of its of the publisher or anything like that, but I was just surprised that these are really nice tiles for the different towns that and the ports that you're going to be in. I like the fact that they are double-sided. They have a just kind of a representation of the city on one side and then everything that was sold there on the other. I like that. The card stock is good. I don't necessarily like the graphic design choices that were made on the cards. It's functional, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look that pretty. The barrels, man, these barrels are really nice barrels. I liked having these nice chunky barrels in here, so that was a good plus for me as well. The second pro of the game is the fact that it does play very simply. A lot of economic games try to, I guess, maybe get a little bit too big for their britches or something like that. I don't know how to exactly say it, but they just get too brainy. And I know a lot of people like that, don't get me wrong, but I just don't. I don't like to feel like I'm working while I'm playing a game. I like to feel like I'm playing a game. And that's pretty much where Broadhorns comes into it. It doesn't try to overstay its complexity. It's very simple. You buy stuff here, you deliver it there, you pick up a passenger here, you deliver it there, and you're just getting points. You're trying to make and you're trying to use and make money, from one hand to the other, basically, trying to just come out ahead. And as long as you can make a profit more often than not, you'll do pretty good. Now, as far as cons are concerned, the first one is I don't think it brings anything new to the economic pick up and drop off and buy, sell, and trade. It doesn't do anything new for that genre of games, of economic pick up and deliver games. It's pretty much just another pick up and deliver game that doesn't do anything new. I mean, it's got a neat theme on it, I guess. I like the name of the game, I guess. But it just doesn't do anything new. It's just another game in that genre that is just doing the same thing as all the other games do. So it doesn't really have any differentiating factor as far as I can tell. And really that kind of leads into my second con. And the second con is quite simply that it's just kind of there. One of the people that played the game with me had this to say about it. They said, if I remember correctly, they said this is a terribly average game. And really, that is hitting the nail on the head, honestly, because there's nothing new about this game that is jumping out at us. There's nothing innovative. There's nothing fresh. It's just a lot of the same mechanisms that you would see in almost any other economic game that's there. Refilling a market, sailing downstream, stopping and doing port actions, picking up stuff, selling stuff in the port, maybe picking up a traveler, and it's all been done before. So I think the moniker here of being terribly average is really where we're going to lie as far as this game is concerned. So overall, I don't think that there's a whole lot of other stuff that I can say, either good or bad, because quite frankly, it is literally in the middle of the river here. It is right in the middle. There, it's not a bad game. It works well. It works fine. I wouldn't say it's fun, but on the other side, it's not great either. It's just some of the same stuff cooked over and mulled over some more. So unfortunately, it's right in the middle of the river with me. It's 5 out of 10. I don't think that I can say anything else bad or good about it, which really is, I guess, you're going to have to take what I've done here and kind of make your own decision. I can't really say that, no, you shouldn't go pick this up, because this might be a great level family weight game for you. You're going to have to make the decision, because quite frankly, maybe you'll like the theme better than another economic pick up and deliver game. Maybe you'll like the artwork in this one better. I don't know. The fact of the matter is that it is straight right in the middle. There's nothing necessarily overwhelmingly good or bad about it. It's just terribly average. So it's a 5 out of 10 from me from Broadhorns. I hope that you guys understand I'm not trying to be too overly critical, or rather, I'm not being overly critical at all. There's nothing really to be critical about, except for the fact that it doesn't really do anything new. So that's it from me. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care now.